Hey guys, what's up? This is Doctorian, and today I want to have a talk about World of Warcraft, what is happening to it, where did love go. What I'm going to do in this video, take a look at the past 10 years and see how the game started out, how it's been developed over the last 10 years, and where was it good, where did it go wrong. So I have the numbers to back that up, so let's dive into it. Let's start with Vanilla WoW. That was 10 years ago. Vanilla WoW had 20 dungeons and 5 raids. Now, what was so good about Vanilla? Vanilla had the leveling was a journey. To get to max level was actually hard. If you were a mage or warrior and you pulled 2 mobs instead of 1, you had a big chance you would die at the spot just during your questing. You really had to watch your step. Was a shitload of dungeons, 20 dungeons, and once you were 60, which some people took 3 to 6 months to get that, it was 5 raids. You started out with Molten Core, then you went to Blackwing Lair, then you went to Ahn'Qirash 25, Ahn'Qirash 40, and then to Naxxramas. And only 1% of the player base has seen Naxxramas. The journey was really epic. This was always the next step. It was always the next step to develop yourself as a player. And the leveling journey was a challenge by itself and took a lot of time. And it was, you could see that Blizzard had a lot of love for it and was really into the developing of this game, making it feel epic, because Vanilla WoW ended with 7 million subscribers. And that's really good for a 10-year-old game back then, because people say it cannot be done because it's an open world MMORPG. And actually, when Vanilla WoW got released, in a lot of magazines were like, it cannot be done, it's open world, so many players, dungeons and raids, this is impossible. And when it came out, people loved it. But it was not only because it was the first MMO, it's because the quality was amazing. It was, the WoW universe was there, the leveling was really give you really satisfaction if you got to max level, and it was an amazing time. It was very well done by Blizzard, and it was an epic journey that never ended. And where almost no people with alts, at least not raiding with their alts, where a lot of people would just with their main always going for the next step, getting that next raid down, getting the next tier items. It was a fantastic time, so big props to Blizzard for that. Then we dive into the Burning Crusade. Burning Crusade, so I'm gonna compare stuff right here. So Vanilla WoW had 20 dungeons and 5 raids. And remember that Vanilla WoW and the Burning Crusade only had 40 people working on it. Now, so Vanilla WoW 20 dungeons, 5 raids, and then the Burning Crusade came out. 16 dungeons, it's 4 less than Vanilla WoW. But Vanilla WoW is the fundament of the game, okay? It's the basic of the game, so I'm cool with that. I'm also cool with 20 dungeons and 5 raids for Vanilla WoW, because it's the first time, it's the base of the game, it's the first time it's starting. Burning Crusade, 16 dungeons, it's 4 less than Vanilla, but 8 raids, 3 more. So, once again, Outlands was in my opinion, and I don't want to, I don't want to be biased here. I'm not trying to be biased here. I don't think I am. I love the Burning Crusade. It's my favorite expansion. I've played since Vanilla. I've seen everything. I've did every raid encounter. So that's why I'm making this video. But if you look at the numbers, Vanilla WoW 20 dungeons, 5 raids. Burning Crusade 16 dungeons, but heroic dungeons came out. So if I'm counting them in, it should be 32 and 8 raids. Now I want to talk a little bit about Burning Crusade. Is that I love the leveling. I love the Outlands. But what I really love is that when Burning Crusade was out, you went to Karazhan, Gruul, Mech Teridon, Serpent Shrine Caverns, Tempest Keep, and then we had Mount Ajal, Black Temple, and Sunwell Plateau. But when you were 70, the dungeons and heroic dungeons were waiting for you. And then Karazhan was your raid to start with. After that, you went to Gruul, Mech Teridon, then Serpent Shrine Caverns, and then Tempest Keep. 5 out of the 8 raids were already released. Blizzard said, here's all the content, go do it. And then in the next batch, they brought out Mount Ajal and Black Temple. And a lot of guilds were not even ready for Mount Ajal and Black Temple, because they were still clearing Serpent Shrine Caverns and Tempest Keep by the time that Mount Ajal and Black Temple came out. And when Black Temple was done, Sunwell Plateau came out. So once again, there was always the next step. There were a lot of raids to be doing. There were a shit ton of dungeons, and it really paid off. You could see the quality, you can see the epicness again in the journey, always going on to the next step, and the Burning Crusade closed off with 11 million subscribers. Now, I'm counting it as 16 dungeons, by the way, because counting it as heroic is not fair, because since Burning Crusade, every expansion has heroic dungeons. So we're counting as 16 dungeons and 8 raids. So we're going over right now to Wrath of the Lich King. It's a huge favorite among a lot of people. Wrath of the Lich King did in numbers, again, 16 dungeons and 8 raids. The same as Burning Crusade. Once again, we had to level up to 80, 10 levels. You can also see that pattern. We went from vanilla, from level 60 to level 17 Burning Crusade, from 70 to 80 in Wrath of the Lich King. And then you had, when you reached level 80, you had Next Remnant, which was brought back from Vanilla WoW as your starting rate. Then you had Obsidian Sanctum, and Obsidian Sanctum by itself was not that hard, but Obsidian Sanctum 3 Drakes up, when it was current content, god damn, that was hard. Sorry for me cursing, but that was a bitch fight. And then we had Malygos, the Eye of Eternity. Those were the first 3 raids we had. And after those 3 raids, we had Ulduar. And Ulduar, I think, is the biggest raid ever released. And I'm not talking about the amount of bosses, because I know there are more raids with 14 bosses, 14 raid bosses. But Ulduar, the size of Ulduar was gigantic. It was one of the first raids it was the first raid, if I remember correctly. You could mount and have portals, and there was a train in there for a reason. I remember stepping into Ulduar, and I was looking around me, and I was like, fuck, this is huge. This raid is, first of all, it was a beautiful raid, and the boss encounters were epic. I really love Yogg-Saron. Goddamn, what a fight. I loved that fight. I still love it today. It's so amazingly good. And it was so huge. I don't think we have seen a bigger raid if you only look at the size, and I loved Ulduar. And after Ulduar, we got Trial of the Crusader Riven, right? Could be Trial of the Champion. Sometimes I mix those two up, but Trial of the Crusader was a small raid, but it was kind of okay. And then we went into, after Trial of the Crusader, we had Icecrown Citadel, with of course Arthas with the Wrath of the Lich King himself, which was my favorite fight in there. I really love the Lich King fight. I thought it was by far the best fight in the expansions, together with Yogg-Saron. I really loved the Lich King fight and the Yogg-Saron fight. They were my 2 favorite fights. And even after ICC, there was the Ruby Sanctum. It was again it was a smaller raid, but it was there. So Wrath of the Lich King, 16 dungeons, 8 raids. And again, the epicness of the journey, again the leveling and then all the content that was there and the Lich King waiting for us, it paid off, because Wrath of the Lich King closed down with 12 million subscribers. As you can see right here that WoW since vanilla is going upwards. The amount of dungeons and the amount of raids are stepping forward, and it's paying off, because WoW is growing from 7 to 11 to 12 million with Wrath of the Lich King. When Wrath of the Lich King closed, we were at 12 million subscribers. So you can see it paid off. The hard work and the great development by Blizzard paid off. And everybody had a blast. And then we heading into Cataclysm. Now, I want you to remember the numbers. I'm going over it once more. Vanilla WoW, 20 dungeons, 5 raids. The Burning Crusade, 16 dungeons, 8 raids. Wrath of the Lich King, 16 dungeons, 8 raids. And then Cataclysm, 14 dungeons. That's 2 less than the other expansions. That's not the end of the world. 5 raids. That is where it goes wrong. You started out with Blackwing Descent, Bastion of Twilight, and the Throne of the Four Winds. I love those 3 raids. Don't get me wrong. I had a blast in there. I loved Blackwing Descent. I really did. I don't know why, but I just love the Blind Dragon and all that kind of shit. I just had a good time there. I just liked it very much. I liked Bastion of Twilight with Cho'Gall and all that kind of shit. I had no problems. Throne of the Four Winds, doing those 4 bosses and then one Alakir, if I remember, the final big boss. I like that. And then Firelands came out, and again, Firelands was a great raid. It was only 7 bosses, but I had a blast in there. The bosses were hard, but it was only 7 bosses, but hard boss fights, fun mechanics, a lot of shit to do. I had a blast in there, so Firelands was really cool. And then came out the Dragon Soul. And Dragon Soul was a freaking disaster, because Dragon Soul, the first 2 or 3 weeks I was having fun in there, and after that I was kind of quickly done. When I killed Deathwing the first time, when I cleared Dragon Soul, which didn't took me very long. I think we cleared normal like 3 or 4 weeks, to be honest. It went very well, maybe a little bit longer, but it didn't took us a very long time to clear it on normal, and I also cleared it on heroic. But I did not have a good time in Dragon Soul. I did not like the Deathwing fight, and it was basically for me not really a fight I enjoyed. And you can see it out in the subscribers, because for the first time since ever, WoW's on the decline, dropping down from the 12 million in Wrath of the Lich King to 9.1 million, being below the Burning Crusade. So Cataclysm is you can see not enough content, 14 dungeons, 5 raids, and not good quality. You can see it in there. And then we head over to Mist of Pandaria. And once again, remember the numbers. Okay? WoW, Vanilla WoW 20 dungeons, 5 raids. Burning Crusade 16 dungeons, 8 raids. Wrath of the Lich King 16 dungeons, 8 raids. Doing good on subscribers. Cataclysm 14 dungeons, 5 raids, on the decline. And then Mist of Pandaria 9 dungeons, 5 raids again. The leveling in Mist of Pandaria was the first problem. That was one of the issues. It was a boring process doing the exact same areas in the same order. That was one thing. And once you had reached, and this was those 5 levels, once you got to level 90. And here's one thing this is cutting my eye as well. Like Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, we had 10 levels, and we went from Wrath of the Lich King to Cataclysm was 5, and the content was less. It was less levels, less content, less subscribers. Same here, 9 dungeons, 5 raids, and only 5 levels. Let's go. So the leveling was tedious because you're doing the same stuff over and over again, and I don't think anyone enjoyed it. But you started out with Mogushin Faults, then you went to Heart of Fear, and then Terrors of the Endless Spring. Not that bad, except that most of the player base hated Heart of the Fear. I was one of them. I did not like all those insects and bugs. Nevertheless, the encounters were good. I mean, I don't think there was anything wrong with the encounters, but it was just not as fun. I think I don't know. I did not like Heart of the Fear. I did like Terrors of the Endless Spring, and I did like Mogushin Faults. And then you moved on to Throne of Thunder, which was a lot of big favorite amongst a lot of players. A lot of people enjoyed Throne of Thunder because were good raid fights with really fun mechanics. A lot of stuff going on with G-Kun with the axe and the all that kind of stuff. The turtle boss and all that kind of shit. I had a great time in Throne of Thunder. I'm not gonna lie, I loved it. And then we had Siege of Orgrimmar. After Throne of Thunder, we had Siege of Orgrimmar for 14 months. So you started out clearing the first 3 raids, and then you had one patch with Throne of Thunder, which was okay. The dailies was fun, and the raid was good. And then we had the final patch 5.4 for 14 months. That was it. 5 raids, 9 dungeons, and you can see it dropping off. Mist of Pandaria was at some point during Mist of Pandaria, during 5.4, it was 6.3 million subscribers, and but when 6.0 came out, it bounced back to 7.7 million. So officially, Mist of Pandaria ended at 7.7 million, but it's only due to the 6.0 patch, which didn't brought anything except the mythic difficulty. Then you had normal, heroic, and mythic, and people came back to gear up their ults to get that really easy Garrus kill and Garrus achievement and all that kind of stuff. So basically, I personally would like to count Mist of Pandaria. If they didn't brought out 6.0, it would have closed down with 6.3 million subscribers. You can see that the 9 dungeons and the 5 raids and the 14 months of Siege of Orgrimmar, and Siege of Orgrimmar wasn't that great of a raid. I think Garrus was good, and there were some bosses in there, those were fine, but it wasn't a great raid, and you can see that paying off in the numbers. You can see the subscribers going downhill. So you can see it in the dungeons, in the raids, and in the subscribers. Now, Warlords of Draenor. So remember, let's go back to the top again. Vanilla WoW 20 dungeons, 5 raids. Burning Crusade 16 and 8. Wrath of the Lich King 16 and 8. Cataclysm 14 and 5. Mists of Pandaria 9 and 5. And Warlords of Draenor 8 and 3. Warlords of Draenor only has 8 dungeons and 3 raids. We started out with Heimel. Then we got into Blackrock Foundry. And then now we're in Hellfire Citadel. Now, the rating so far, all 3 raids have been really good. I'm not gonna bash about the raids because all 3 of them are really good. The leveling in Warlords of Draenor is really good. I'm not gonna flame about that. The art department is really good in Warlords of Draenor. I'm not gonna flame about that. But only 8 dungeons and only 3 raids, because they did an interview saying that this is the final most likely 6.2 is the final patch of Warlords of Draenor, which is kind of concerning me, because we're on the downhill again, because Mists of Pandaria officially closed down with 7.7 million subscribers. Right now, on this day, today, we're down to 7.2 million subscribers, doing worse than Mists of Pandaria, and this is going to be on a decline as well. We're gonna lose subscribers. Now, my video is about, I'm worried, because I want to point something out. In Mists of Pandaria, we had dailies. But we were forced to do those dailies, and let me explain. If you did not do your dailies in Mists of Pandaria, you would not get your patterns for your professions. If you were a leatherworker, enchanter, an alchemist, blacksmith, or whatever, you needed to do those dailies. Otherwise, you would not get the best leatherworking, best leatherworking, enchanting, alchemy patterns. And as a raider, you needed that shit. Because my blacksmithing was useless unless I was revered or exalted with a couple of factions to make my blacksmithing items. So I needed that. Same in Warlords of Draenor. You need to do your garrison, you need to do your shipyard for your legendary ring. You need to do your dailies, otherwise we will take flying away from you. Blizzard is saying that our dailies are not mandatory. But if you don't do them, we'll take something away. In Mists of Pandaria, you made our professions useless if we did not do our dailies. If we do not do our dailies and our garrisons and shipyard, you will take away flying and our legendary ring. My problem here is that Blizzard is forcing us into doing their content. And what I am worried about is that Blizzard will say, like, we're doing fine, people are doing our content. So there's nothing wrong with the game. Everybody's doing it, right? Blizz, if you need to take something away, if you need to punish players to do dailies, then your content is not good. For me personally, I hate the non-jungle, I don't like my garrison, and I don't like my shipyard, but I'm being forced to do them. It also takes away the fun from alts. I'm really worried about World of Warcraft. Where did the love go? Let's go back on Vanilla WoW with 20 dungeons, 5 raids, 7 million subscribers. Burning Crusade 11 million subscribers. Wrath of the Lich King 12. Cataclysm 9.1. Mists of Pandaria 7.7 and Warlords of Draenor 7.2. We're going downhill. Every expansion since Wrath of the Lich King, we're getting less dungeons and less raids, and we have less people subscribing to the game. And Blizzard is not really changing things. I'm really worried that Blizzard saying it's fine, people are doing our content, and we're going through on this way. But I hope that right now there are 200 people working on World of Warcraft, that they will change World of Warcraft, and that the next expansion is going to be great because we deserve it, and get WoW back to where it deserves to be. Okay guys, this was my video. If you like my videos, please subscribe to it and give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Thanks very much for watching guys. Goodbye.